chosen one. You won't believe why and how they're confronting people to prove what they said about you is true. But desperation has replaced confidence. The one who once spread rumors is now spiraling, cornering mutuals and demanding validation for stories that no longer hold up. This person can feel the walls closing in. Every frantic message, every unplanned visit, every late-night rant only exposes how unstable the lie has become. And while they scramble to defend a collapsing illusion, you've already moved beyond it. The very chaos they created to destroy you has turned into proof of your innocence and their downfall. This person exists in complete chaos right now. The house is a mess. The car is filled with clutter. Deadlines at work are being missed. Focus on anything else is impossible, because all mental energy goes toward understanding how manipulation happened, how being used as a weapon against someone innocent occurred. The cognitive dissonance is consuming. Moments keep replaying on an endless loop. Times when you tried to explain your side and got shut down. Times when you showed receipts and gossip was chosen instead. Times when you begged for a listening ear and rejection came. Every memory hits differently now. Every conversation carries new meaning. Everything gets seen through fresh eyes, and what's visible is sickening. The realization is setting in that the people who fed lies about you are the actual toxic ones. The friend who issued warnings is a snake. The family member who expressed concerns carries jealousy. The ex who called you unstable is a manipulator. All the people trusted to provide guidance were actually leading away from something real, away from you. So confrontations are happening now, and these encounters are not going well for the liars. When you tell the same lie for years, details get forgotten. Which version went to which person gets confused. What was emphasized versus what was left out becomes unclear. But the person asking questions now isn't the same person who blindly accepted stories before. Sharpness has arrived. Suspicion is present. Listening for cracks in voices is happening. Watch what unfolds when someone says, "Tell me again exactly what this person did." Suddenly nobody can remember specifics. The exact details escape me right now. That was a while ago. You should ask someone else who was there. The confidence evaporates instantly. The certainty disappears completely. People start pointing fingers at each other. I only said that because someone else told me. I just heard it from another source. The united front crumbles immediately, and the person asking questions is documenting everything. Who said what is being tracked? Who's changing their story is being noted. Who's trying to deflect is being identified. A mental map of the entire deception network is being built, and at the center of it all, one or two ringleaders who orchestrated everything are being found. Somebody in this situation thought invincibility was guaranteed, someone who played both sides beautifully, someone who smiled in your face while stabbing you in the back, someone who pretended neutrality while secretly poisoning everyone against you. This person is a master manipulator. Knowing exactly what to say to each audience is a skill perfected. Convincing others comes naturally. Strategy is second nature. Getting away with this kind of behavior has been a lifelong pattern, but not this time, because the person investigating isn't just asking random questions. Traps are being set. Different people are being told different pieces of information, and what spreads is being monitored. Pretending to believe one version while testing another is happening. Techniques nobody knew existed are being used because desperation breeds creativity. This two-faced individual is getting caught in a self-created web. One person was told you were violent. Another person was told you were a thief. A third person was told you were unfaithful. But when all these stories get compared, nothing adds up. The timeline doesn't work. The details contradict. The entire narrative falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. And suddenly this master manipulator is stuttering and backtracking and making weak excuses. What's beautiful about this moment is watching panic set in. Being questioned is unfamiliar territory. Having words accepted as fact is the normal experience. An entire reputation has been built on being the trusted source of information. But now someone is calling out the contradictions directly. You told me this. You told them that. Which one is true? And no answer can be given because neither version is true. Everything was designed to destroy you. A specific reason existed for wanting you gone. Maybe you knew too much about them. Maybe you threatened their position somehow. Maybe you had something they wanted. Maybe your peace triggered their jealousy. Whatever the reason, a decision was made that you had to be eliminated from the picture. Not physically, socially, emotionally, relationally. So a careful campaign was launched. Slow drip, gentle suggestions, concerned warnings, nothing obvious, never too hard, too fast. The case against you was built brick by brick until everyone believed you were the problem. And it worked, for a while. But houses built on lies can't withstand storms, and the storm just arrived. As this investigation deepens, more players emerge from shadows. People who stayed quiet while you were being destroyed. People who saw lies but said nothing. People who knew truth but chose comfort over courage. These individuals aren't the main villains, but accomplices exist here. Destruction was enabled through silence. Now confrontations are happening with this group too. You knew this was happening. Why didn't you say something? Watch the squirming begin. Watch excuses flow. I didn't want to get involved. It wasn't my place. I thought it would work itself out. These are words of cowards. These are phrases of people who value their own peace over your justice. But an even darker layer is being uncovered. People exist who actively participated in your downfall while convincing themselves the right thing was being done. Genuine belief existed that someone was being protected from you. These people thought heroism was happening in this story. No awareness exists that being a pawn in someone else's game was the reality. This group is having the hardest time with truth. What was done has to be faced while believing justification existed. Hiding behind ignorance is impossible. Claiming not to know doesn't work. Exact awareness of actions taken was present, just no awareness that manipulation was happening. And that's a devastating pill to swallow. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. Now comes the part that's really tearing this person apart. Regret. Shame, embarrassment. Looking back at how you were treated creates a desire to disappear. The coldness is remembered. The judgment, the dismissiveness, making you feel small is recalled. Making you question yourself is remembered. Making you wonder if maybe the problem really was you after all. Memories surface of you waiting. Chance after chance was given to see the truth. You showed up consistently, even when inconsistency came back. Grace was extended when grief was given. Openness remained when closing off happened. Love was given through their worst while the worst was believed about you. And everything got thrown away. The regret is physical. It sits in the chest like a weight. It disrupts sleep. It ruins appetite. It makes conversations replay on a loop, looking for the moment when a different choice should have been made. But no single moment exists. Thousands of moments happened. Thousands of choices were made. Thousands of opportunities to trust you over gossip were given. And failure came at every single one. What makes this worse is seeing you now, watching you from a distance and witnessing thriving, glowing, peace, success, surrounded by genuine people who see your value. No bitterness, no brokenness, no stuckness. Moving on and moving up happened. And that's the real knife twisting. You didn't need their validation to be valuable. Your worth was always known. Through all these confrontations, a picture is forming. One name keeps surfacing. One person seems connected to every lie. One individual was present at every crucial moment when information was shared. The ringleader, the puppet master, the architect of your destruction. And when this person's role becomes clear, everything clicks into place. This villain isn't who anyone expected. Not the obvious enemy. Someone who seemed trustworthy. Someone who appeared to care. Someone who positioned themselves as a helper, a protector, a concerned party. But poison was flowing the whole time. Every twisted story had this source. String pulling and watching everyone dance was the game. Why did this happen? The investigator finally gets to ask directly. And the answer is underwhelming. Jealousy. Insecurity, control, nothing profound, nothing justified, just petty human emotions that were allowed to turn someone into a monster. Something in you that they wished existed in themselves was seen, and instead of self-improvement, destruction of you was chosen. This villain thought safety was guaranteed, manipulation was believed to be untraceable, perfect track covering was assumed, reputation would provide protection was the belief, wrong on every count. The investigator has receipts now, screenshots, voice messages, testimony from multiple sources. The case is airtight. When confronted with undeniable proof, the villain does what villains do. The script flips, victim gets played, protection was the goal, your best interests were at heart, worry about what was happening to you motivated everything. The manipulation continues even in exposure, but it doesn't work anymore. The spell is broken, the mask is off, clear vision exists now. This is the moment of truth for the investigator. A decision must be made about what to do with this information. Should public exposure happen? Should quiet cutting off occur? Should confrontation happen, in front of everyone who was deceived? Options swirl in the mind, but one thing is certain, this person will never have access or influence again. That door is closed and locked permanently. While all this chaos unfolds, where are you? Elevated, in a completely different space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Watching their drama unfold isn't happening. Waiting for apologies isn't occurring. Holding breath for validation isn't your reality. Self-validation already happened. Your own name was already cleared in your own mind. Their investigation is just confirmation of what was always known. This is what real power looks like. Scrambling to defend yourself isn't happening. Trying to control the narrative isn't your focus. Inserting yourself into conversations about you isn't your move. Just living, thriving, glowing, succeeding. Your life is your testimony. Your peace is your proof. Your progress is your vindication. The investigator sees this. Movement like someone who was never pressed about their opinion in the first place, gets witnessed. Elevation to levels they can't even access yet is visible. Operating in spaces they don't even know exist is observable. And everything suspected gets confirmed. You were never the problem. You were always the solution. You were always the blessing. You were always the one. The investigator is discovering your spiritual ranking now. Operating at a frequency never recognized before becomes clear. Protection that can't be seen but whose effects are felt gets understood. Comprehension arrives that you're not regular. You're chosen, and chosen ones don't fall the way regular people fall. Everything is flipping now. The people who were celebrated are being questioned. The people who were trusted are being exposed. The people who seemed powerful are being revealed as weak. The whole social structure built on lies is collapsing, and you're watching it happen from your elevated position with perfect peace. The investigator wants to reach out to you. Apology is desired. Explanation of everything learned wants to be shared. Making it right is the goal. But fear exists. Because deserving your grace seems impossible. Failing you when it mattered is remembered. Choosing wrong when choosing right was standing in front of them is acknowledged. An apology isn't enough to fix what was broken is understood. Meanwhile, panic is setting in for the people who lied on you. Reputations are crumbling. Relationships are falling apart. Secrets are being exposed. Everything done to you is happening to them exponentially. The karma isn't just coming. Already arrived and brought reinforcements. Sleep is being lost. Peace is being lost. Everything thought to be secured by destroying you is disappearing. Now watching everyone who doubted you scramble to rewrite history is happening. Attempts to act like the truth was always known are occurring. Claims that the lies were never really believed are being made. Pretending to always be on your side is the new strategy. But you know the truth. You remember who stood with you when it cost them something. You remember who had courage to question the narrative. You remember who was real. Eventually, courage gets worked up by the investigator to contact you. A message gets sent. A request to talk gets made. Explaining everything discovered is desired. Wanting you to know truth is now seen becomes the message. Understanding that manipulation happened needs to be conveyed. Forgiveness is wanted. Another chance is hoped for. Getting back in is the goal. Here's where your power really shows. Being moved by their revelation isn't happening. Being impressed by their investigation doesn't occur. Being grateful for finally seeing what you tried to show years ago isn't felt. Neutrality exists. Unbothered energy is present. Not being mean about it, but not being welcoming either, describes the stance. Simple detachment from the outcome exists, because wholeness without their validation is already achieved. If choosing to respond happens, brevity is maintained. Acknowledgement of their message occurs. Appreciation for taking time to find truth might even be expressed. But through your energy, clarity gets communicated that the door closed isn't automatically reopened, just because minds changed. Moving on happened. A new life was built. Surrounding yourself with people who never needed proof of your character occurred. Interest in going backwards doesn't exist. This response shakes them. Expectation that you'd be waiting existed. Thinking you'd be excited about finally being seen was assumed. Assuming you'd jump at the chance to reconnect was the belief. But you're not who you were when they knew you. Upgraded, evolved, operating at a level where treatment based on eventual realization doesn't get accepted. Requiring people to see your value from the beginning is the standard now. The investigator has to sit with that. Accepting that some doors close permanently must happen. Understanding that while investigation was happening, you were elevating needs to sink in. While truth about others was being discovered, you were discovering truth about yourself. While liars were being confronted, you were building an empire. Needing their investigation to free you didn't happen. Freeing yourself a long time ago was the reality. Vague questions aren't being asked. Details are being demanded. People are being pulled aside and hearing things like, "Walk me through exactly when this person's name first came up in conversation with you." Timelines are being demanded. Locations are being requested. Names of who else was present when certain things were supposedly said or done are being asked for. Watch how people freeze when specifics get requested. The lies were always general. This person is toxic. This person is manipulative. This person causes drama wherever they go. But when someone asks, "Give me one specific example with concrete details and witnesses," suddenly everyone goes quiet, because lies live in generalities, truth lives in details, and right now nobody can provide details that stand up to scrutiny. This investigator is doing something genius. The same person is being asked the same question with time passing between to see if answers change. Different people are being asked about the same incident to see if stories match. Facts are being checked against calendars and receipts and locations. This is being treated like an actual investigation because knowing if a relationship was destroyed based on evidence or imagination is critical. What's being discovered is chilling. Most accusations against you have no basis in observable reality. Interpretations exist. Assumptions were made. Projections occurred. Someone decided you had bad intentions and then filtered every action you took through that lens. You could do something kind and manipulation would be seen. You could set a boundary and controlling would be the label. You could speak your truth and attacking would be claimed. The investigator is seeing this pattern now. Watching people twist neutral actions into negative narratives is happening. Observing how the same behavior acceptable from others became problematic when you did it gets noticed. The double standards are visible now. The goalpost moving is clear. The selective memory is obvious, and questioning everything thought to be known about trusted people is happening. But here's what's really making the push harder for answers. Suspicion is growing that being the only target of this manipulation didn't happen. Wondering who else was deceived exists. Questioning what other relationships were destroyed by these same people is occurring. Realizing being part of a pattern, not a unique situation, is dawning. And wanting to warn others is becoming urgent. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology, that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your destiny engine for $1 today, join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks, and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. Something shifted when actual evidence surfaced. Maybe someone kept screenshots they weren't supposed to keep. Maybe a recording existed of a conversation where lies were being coordinated. Maybe someone wrote something down that contradicted what was later claimed. Whatever it was, proof now exists that can't be explained away. The investigator brought this evidence to the main people who spoke against you, and watching attempts to explain it away is exposing them even further. That's taken out of context. That wasn't meant that way. Going through something at the time explains it. The excuses are endless, but convincing nobody, because the evidence shows premeditation, coordination is visible, malice is clear. This is the moment when understanding arrives for the investigator that this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't genuinely concerned people making an honest mistake. This was deliberate. This was calculated. This was a campaign with strategy and execution. You were targeted, not because of anything you did, but because of who you are and what you represent. You represented something that threatened comfort. Maybe too much authenticity in a space built on fakeness. Maybe having standards in a circle that accepted mediocrity. Maybe holding boundaries in a group that operated on enmeshment. Maybe questioning things in an environment that demanded blind acceptance. Whatever it was, being different was your crime, and different gets eliminated when people are committed to staying the same. The investigator is learning that evidence shows a pattern of behavior from these people extending beyond you. This has been done before. This will be done again. A formula exists for isolating and destroying anyone who doesn't conform to dysfunction. You were just the latest target, but you were also the biggest failure. Because breaking the way previous targets broke didn't happen with you. Here's what you need to understand about why letting this go is impossible for this person. It's not really about you anymore. Identity is at stake now. If being wrong about you is true, what else is wrong? If misjudging you so completely happened, how can judgment about anyone be trusted? If manipulation happened this easily, what does that say about discernment? These questions are preventing sleep, so confronting people trying to prove that maybe, just maybe, some truth existed in what was told is happening. Desperate searching for something, anything, that validates the choice to believe lies over evidence is occurring. Finding at least one thing you actually did wrong is needed, so facing the reality that something real was destroyed based on complete fiction can be avoided. But the more digging happens, the less gets found. Every stone turned over reveals more about the liars, and nothing about you. Every person pressed for details exposes themselves but vindicates you. Every attempt to prove you were the problem actually proves you were the solution, and world destruction is happening because of this. This person is also confronting people because needing others to admit being wrong too exists. Misery loves company. If getting the others to acknowledge deception happens, then being alone in failure doesn't occur. If everyone was fooled, then personal failing isn't the issue. It's collective mistake. But if being the only one brave enough to question the narrative is the reality, then being the only fool becomes unbearable. Watch attempts to get people to confess. You see it now too, right? You realize lies were told to us. Begging for validation of new truth is happening. But most people aren't ready to admit being wrong yet. Most people are still committed to the lie because admitting truth means facing their own complicity. So doubling down happens. Defensiveness appears. Making the investigator seem crazy for questioning what everyone knows becomes the strategy. This creates even more conflict, because now gaslighting by the same people who gaslit them about you is happening to the investigator. Why are you defending them? Why are you bringing this up again? You need to let this go. The same manipulation tactics used to turn them against you are now being used to stop seeking truth. And that parallel is not lost. The confrontations aren't happening in private anymore. Public questioning is occurring now. Things are being asked in group settings. Posts are happening that clearly reference the situation, making it known that re-evaluation of everything told is happening, and a social earthquake is being caused. People are choosing sides. Some are supporting the investigator's right to question. Others are attacking for disloyalty. Friend groups are fracturing. Family dynamics are shifting. Communities are dividing, all because one person decided to prioritize truth over keeping peace. All because one person decided your name deserved clearing, even if relationships were the cost. This is actually revealing who has integrity and who doesn't. The people getting angry at questions are the ones with something to hide. The people supporting investigation are the ones who value truth over comfort. The people trying to shut down conversation are the ones who benefit from lies staying buried. The people encouraging deeper digging are the ones who are always uncomfortable with how you were treated. You're watching this from a distance, and vindication exists, but also sadness. Sad that this much was required for truth to surface. Sad that lies were chosen so easily, but truth requires this much effort. Sad that your character was questioned freely, but defending it causes this much resistance. But also relieved that being in that toxic environment anymore isn't your reality. The investigator is losing relationships over pursuing truth. People thought to be close are showing true colors. People trusted are revealing allegiance was always to the lie, not to loyalty. People defended are now attacking the same way you were attacked. And in this parallel experience, understanding of what you went through is finally happening. The isolation you felt is being experienced now. The gaslighting you endured is being dealt with currently. The choice between peace and truth that you faced is now their choice, and truth is being chosen, just like you did. And just like you, discovery is happening. That truth costs you people who were never really for you anyway. A specific moment exists when everything comes together for this person, when all pieces connect, and the full picture gets seen clearly. It might happen during a conversation where someone slips up. It might happen alone, replaying everything in the mind. It might happen seeing you from a distance, living your best life unbothered. Whenever it happens, it hits like a lightning bolt. Lies weren't just told about you. Being used occurred. Being weaponized happened. Being turned into an instrument of someone else's jealousy, insecurity, or malice was the reality. Emotions were manipulated. Trust was exploited. Your relationship was sacrificed for someone else's agenda, and that realization changes everything. This is when confrontations get more intense, because now asking what people said isn't enough. Asking why people said it becomes the focus. Seeking information isn't the goal anymore. Seeking accountability is. Wanting to understand isn't sufficient. Wanting justice is, for themselves and for you. Confronting people with new energy is happening now. Anger exists in it. Betrayal, hurt. Being polite isn't happening anymore. Worry about preserving relationships with people who destroyed the relationship with you doesn't exist. Being done protecting feelings of people who had no problem hurting yours is the stance. The gloves are off. Watch how this makes the guilty panic even more. Seeing this person with a spine isn't familiar. Being challenged isn't usual. Facing consequences isn't expected. Thinking safety behind lies was guaranteed existed. Thinking manipulation was permanent was the belief. Thinking getting away with it was accomplished was assumed. But karma doesn't forget addresses. The investigator is also starting to connect dots about their own life. Realizing other situations where these same people might have manipulated them is happening. Other times when perception was shaped by someone else's narrative are being remembered. Other relationships that might have been sabotaged based on false information are being questioned. This rabbit hole goes deeper than just you, and that's terrifying. While all this chaos unfolds, let's talk about where you are. So far removed from this drama that almost forgetting it was happening occurred. Checking social media to see who's talking isn't your activity. Asking mutual friends for updates isn't happening. Sending subliminal messages isn't your move. Genuinely unbothered because genuinely busy building something beyond their comprehension is your reality. This is what real elevation looks like. Being elevated because trying to prove something isn't the case. Being elevated because actually growing into a different person happened. The version of you that cared about their opinion doesn't exist anymore. That person evolved. That person transformed. That person became someone who doesn't need validation from people who couldn't see value when it was in front of them. Your life right now is proof of your character. Succeeding in ways that can't be faked is happening. Being connected to people who genuinely love you without needing convincing is your reality. Creating things that add value to the world is your focus. Living in peace that comes from knowing yourself completely is your daily experience. None of this requires their belief. None of this needs their approval. None of this demands their understanding. The investigator sees this, and everything gets confirmed. If you were who was claimed, bitterness would exist. Being stuck would be obvious. Seeking revenge would be the focus. Making your vindication everyone else's problem would happen. But none of those things describe you. Moving on so completely that their awakening barely registers in your awareness happened. That's power just beginning to be understood by them. Being interested in being proved right at this point doesn't exist for you. Needing the investigator to clear your name publicly isn't required. Needing the liars to confess publicly isn't necessary. Needing an apology tour from everyone who believed lies isn't desired. Your peace isn't tied to any of that. Your worth isn't dependent on any of that. Your future doesn't require any of that. This is what frustrates the investigator most. Wanting to give you justice exists, but your response is, justice already exists. Peace exists. Purpose exists. Progress exists. That's better than any apology. Wanting to restore what was taken happens, but you respond, what was taken doesn't compare to what was gained. Wanting to punish the guilty is their goal, but you say, life already handled that. Your position is untouchable because attachment to the outcome doesn't exist. Waiting for them to get it isn't happening. Hoping for finally being seen isn't your focus. Needing them to choose you this time doesn't exist. Already choosing yourself occurred. Already validating yourself happened. Already freeing yourself was accomplished. What gets done or doesn't get done is irrelevant to your trajectory. The investigator's rampage wasn't about you at all. This was about finally waking up to reality. This was about realizing life in a matrix of lies was happening. This was about understanding control by people who should have been questioned was occurring. You were just the catalyst. Your consistent truth in the face of consistent lies created pressure that eventually exploded. This is your real power, chosen one. Fighting isn't required. Defending isn't necessary. Proving isn't needed. Just existing in your authenticity, and everything false around you will eventually collapse under the weight of its own deception, is what happens. Just standing in your truth and everyone lying will eventually trip over their contradictions occurs. Just maintaining your integrity and every scheme against you will eventually backfire, is the pattern. So what was this whole situation really about? This was about you discovering your own invincibility. This was about learning that surviving anything is possible for you. This was about realizing that no weapon formed against you will prosper. This was about understanding that protection by something these people can't comprehend covers you. This was about stepping into your identity as chosen. The confrontations happening now are just physical manifestation of spiritual truth. You're untouchable. You're unstoppable. You're undeniable. And everyone who came against you is learning that lesson the hard way. Confronting people isn't happening because love for you exists, but because trying to understand how a battle thought to be won was actually lost is necessary. But you never saw it as a battle. You saw it as a test, and passing happened. Not by fighting back, but by staying solid. Not by seeking revenge, but by trusting the process. Not by defending yourself, but by developing yourself. Not by proving them wrong, but by proving yourself right. That's the energy of a chosen one, who knows worth isn't up for debate. So let them have their confrontations. Let them demand their answers. Let them uncover their truths. Waiting for their validation isn't happening. Holding breath for their apology isn't occurring. Measuring your worth by their eventual realization isn't your method. Already being complete exists. Already being whole is true. Already being victorious is your reality. Their awakening is about them catching up to what you already knew, the investigation being conducted, the confrontations being had, the truth being discovered. It's all just confirmation of what was already written about you. Vindication was always going to happen. Elevation was always your path. Rising above everyone who tried to hold you down was always your destiny. This was always your story. Others were just extras in your testimony. So stand tall in your power. Stand firm in your truth. Stand confident in your calling. Surviving their lies isn't the whole story. Thriving in spite of them is. Enduring their attacks isn't the point. Evolving through them is. Outlasting their schemes isn't the achievement. Evolving through them is. Outdistancing their reach entirely is. Operating at levels they don't even know exist is your current reality. And that's exactly